My name is Sofia Camargo. I'm from Bogota, Colombia. I was born and raised here, and I now live in New York. I left Bogota when I was 27, when I was accepted into my master's degree at NYU, and that was the first time I left my parents' house, actually. When I got to New York, I realized I didn't know anything about filmmaking. I was very fresh and innocent in a way that allowed me to be myself and to explore what I want to be as an artist. New York is everything to me. It changed my life and my way of understanding myself and my identity, and because that distance and the diversity of New York as a city and the fact that I was at school surrounded by people from everywhere in the world, it gave me this space to ask myself who I was. There is a warmth about Colombian culture that is just very tangible. I think it's such an important experience to understand how cultures are different and complex. And when I first came with some of my friends from New York, I was nervous about some other aspects of my culture that I feel in some ways ashamed or uncomfortable with, like class division or race division, and I liked feeling nervous because I was like, this is good that I'm feeling uncomfortable instead of being completely accepting of this structure. Before school, I remember there was a night in Bogota where I went and saw Xavier Dolan's Mommy, and I think the thing that hit me the most was the mother-son relationship and that effort they're doing to be okay and love each other, but their inherent aggressive energy. And I think that's something we all have with our families in some way. There's always tension, and I'm interested in that as a filmmaker. And I remember leaving that movie, I don't know, feeling like, what is this? I love this. I want to make this. I want to be able to play with things this way. There's one film from Lucrecia Martel, the Argentinian director, called The Headless Woman. I felt like I had never seen a movie that understood that side of Latin American culture in such a beautiful way. And because of the class it's representing, because it's about a woman, because it's about a mother and a wife, I was very shaken. I was very shaken by the filmmaking itself, because I was starting at that time to watch movies made by women, and I started discovering this other way of making films that its narrative works very differently, mind-blowing in a beautiful way. I grew up in a family that is very communicative and open, and my mom is an artist, and I'm actually sitting in front of a painting of my mother that she did with no arms, crossed mouth, and a cross in her neck. So in her own work talks about the weight family and the idea of a mother and a woman in a Latin American society has. And I grew up since I was a little girl watching those things, and it was never weird or strange, and there was never censorship towards my mother's art. So I grew up understanding, even if I was profoundly loved, I grew up understanding there was this bitter side of motherhood, and I grew up watching my mother express her discomfort with motherhood and with womanhood in many ways, and feeling frustrated, and I actually love that, because in some ways my filmmaking is completely connected to her work as an artist, her paintings and her drawings. I'm Sofia Camargo. Thanks for getting to know me.